Welcome to this episode of the Swim Swam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges, and joining us today, the new head coach of Iowa State swimming and diving, Matt Leach. Matt, thanks so much for being here. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Coleman. Appreciate your time and looking forward to just talking to you about swimming and diving.
This episode of the Swim Swam podcast is sponsored by Commit Swimming, Swim Swam's exclusive team management software partner. Since 2015, Commit has been providing coaches with swimming's leading workout management software. And now, Commit has team management software too. Commit wants to help you make the switch from Team Unify to a simpler, more powerful solution. Their onboarding and customer service team will walk you through every step of the way. Check them out at commitswimming.com to book your demo today. That's COMMIT swimming.com. Right off the top, new head coach of Iowa State. Just tell me a little bit about this move for you. What made it the right fit for you in your career at this moment?
Yeah. I think that's a great question. And, my guiding principles with everything that I do is family first, continuing to learn and grow, myself. And then third, being obviously at the highest possible level that I can be at and coach at. And so, going back to that first principle for me is being close to the family. Family's first. And we've got my wife and I have a 5-year-old Eloise and a 2-year-old Arlo. And so when we started this whole thing of starting a family, we wanted to be close to our family. So she's from Illinois, I'm from Oregon. So, we've thought it was a really good fit. Not only for me and my wife, but our family moving forward, so we can really settle somewhere and allow our kids to be in a safe place. And we're lucky enough and happy enough to be moving to Ames and working at Iowa State University.
Sticking with that family theme, were you relatively close to your parents at Washington State then, or your family?
Yeah. My parents are in Portland, Oregon, so it's about 5.5-ish hours with little ones, obviously longer. But they met up in Spokane, just north of here. So, I've got family in the area, but so does my wife back there. So, again, it's a really great situation for us moving forward.
Yeah. Well, great. So obviously that is one factor that goes into this. And then can you tell me about what excites you about moving forward with this Iowa State swimming and diving program?
Yeah. Obviously, the family atmosphere, I feel like, was there from the start. Interviewing and connecting with the administration and everyone involved, I was lucky enough to meet everyone from academic advisor to nutritionist, strength and conditioning coach. Everybody was very, very excited about the culture, about the university, about the athletic department, about the town. A lot of young families like mine, so it was really nice to have that support and really feel that. So that was number one. But when you look at Iowa State and you look at their academic rankings, you're a top 120 academic school institution. So, that also was a really nice draw. And then, obviously being in the Big 12, Iowa State swimming and diving. I know we can get back to the NCAA and be there consistently. And that's kind of my growth and my journey everywhere I've been. And so I know the support's there with, again, their SPC. It's their student athlete academic, or their center for their academics, for their nutrition, for everything you can possibly imagine. And it's an amazing facility, state of the art, and student athletes are really well looked after. So, it really just fit everything that I look for and that we were looking for in a new home.
I guess you mentioned the NCAA level. You're coming from Washington State, where you had an NC2A qualifier every single year you were there, which is 6 seasons. This past year, you had an NC2A scorer. You had
Yeah.
the 200 breast B final scorer and Emily Lundgren. Um, Tell me a little bit about what it's like for you coming into a program and having those goals in mind, developing athletes to where they're not only succeeding academically, but
Hmm.
also, you know, re, going to the NC2A level
Yeah.
and ultimately, competing at the best of their abilities.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you need to talk to the student athletes that are there and really talk about your purpose and your guiding lights, which I just mentioned to you, but also how do you get there? What does that look like? And so, I've been very, very blessed and very lucky to be able to come in, like you said, at Washington State year one back at NCAA's. And that was another 200 breaststroker. So, having that vision and having people step in and understand, look, these are the parameters that we're going to work in. And be able to really push that envelope every day and have people buy into that, I think has been probably the reason I've been so lucky and successful. And again, I've borrowed so many different things from different coaches that I either swam for or that I've been lucky enough to coach alongside. So, for me, it's picking and choosing what I think is going to be the best way for a student athlete to get to the water. And again, having multiple NCAA qualifiers the past 6 years, and a Pac-12 champion, and beating some schools for the first time in school history. You know, I think finding the right way for each individual person to be successful is something that I truly believe in, and that I'm going to work with everyone at Iowa State to find that and be able to realize that the next level is within your grasp. And again, we look big picture going NCAA's. If you're taking care of business at NCAA's like we did in the past, the Big 12 is going to be just fine. So I kind of try and look at big picture and how we're going to get there, and then let conference championships handle themselves, let dual meets handle themselves, things like that. So again, it's just saying this is what I believe in. This is the way we're going to go, and let's get on board and get to work.
So this is you were at Washington State, you were at Indiana State before
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
This is seemingly a position you're comfortable with and you have experience with is coming into a program and trying to elevate them, right? Not necessarily coming to these schools that that are already established powerhouses or even established teams. In the case of Indiana State, right? You built
Right.
that team from the ground up.
Yeah.
So what speaks to you about being in a position like that, or what do you enjoy about that journey of coming in and immediately trying to elevate a program?
That's a really good question, and I think it gets back to my wife and I, and our the way we met and where we met. We met at University of Wyoming, and obviously fell in love, and we loved living there. We loved that college environment and atmosphere, and being able to get there and work with TJ was great. And even my time there, for 6 years, we were at NCAA's most of the time. I think it was 4 out of 6 years while I was there, and I learned a ton from him. But I was also kind of in charge of the sprint group, and obviously a couple different groups, and it was a lot of fun for me to grow and challenge kind of the standard level of success there. And for instance, it makes me sound old, but we're having a former student athlete, Kelsey Concy, get inducted into the Wyoming School Hall of Fame for being the first back-to-back All-American in swimming history on the female side. So it my wife and I fell in love in that environment. And if you look at everywhere we've been since, it's really been a smaller, more intimate, more college type of town, and that's what we love. So for me, and for us, it's finding that right fit. And as much as I want to continue to grow and develop, I want to continue to grow and develop a top 25 program. And I think I think finding the right people that want to be a part of that and work at that level, during the school year, during the summer, I think is really important. And so I think, dialing it back to family, my wife and I just love that atmosphere, being able to go to football games and being able to go to basketball games. And now that we have two little ones, we want to drag them along and really kind of so they can see what this whole process is like. And so I think that for me, knowing that my family's going to be looked after, being a safe place, a safe town, allows me to really just, lack of a better term, dive in. Pun intended.
Nice,
And
nice.
see what I did there? To really work with the student athletes. And you know what? I've had people qualify for NCAA's and be all Americans that are all different, tall, not so tall, have different strengths and weaknesses, and you just have to develop those individuals, so that they can reach their full potential and have the team understand we're doing this together. And a rising tide lifts all boats. And I really, really feel that that's true when you have everyone invested in each other and really buying into what the vision is. So I think, going from an Indiana State to a Washington State to Iowa State is kind of just the trajectory that my wife and I have been on, and we wouldn't change it for the world. We're excited, and I know I'm excited to continue to raise the bar there.
I always appreciate getting this kind of insight from the person themselves, because getting a look inside your head and your process and why you made this decision specifically, I think is a good thing and good insight. I think a lot of people's gut reactions that was that they thought they saw you specifically going to, again, a more well established program after what you've done at Washington State and the success you've had there. I think you really elevated that program. Is that something that was on your radar or that you weighed in making this decision? It's going to maybe a more established program or looking for a role with a team that, might have more immediate success, specifically at the NC2A level?
That's a really good question, and for me, it's not it's I've had a lot of club coaches, a lot of colleagues, a lot of friends reach out and kind of tell me about the whole world of swimming and diving out there, especially at that top 25, top 30 level, and I totally get it, and I understand that, but for me, it's not necessarily about jumping in. I've seen a lot of coaches that have jumped into those kind of quote unquote bigger roles, and it just doesn't pan out. And for me, I grew up with a father who was a club coach at Walton Hills Swim Club in Portland, Oregon. And you know my purpose, what growing up, looking back on it now, wasn't I wanted to go to the Olympics, I wanted to do these amazing things, but growing up in the time, it was about going to the pool to see my dad, going to the pool to see, my brother and my friends. So, at the end of the day, I love the relationship I have with my student athletes and the pool deck. At the end of the day, getting up and going into practice early in the morning is amazing. That's, besides being able to have dinner and put my little ones down for, bedtime, those are like the highlights of my day. And so, going looking back on it, I'm not going to change. I wouldn't change this for the world. We all have our own journey and our own path, and I think when I started, it was about proving people wrong. But now for me, it's really not. It's really transformed into, I want people to understand. I want to be, in your life, not only as a swim coach, but as a mentor, someone that you can call back in 10 years and or longer, and say, thank you so much for believing in me and helping me through the process. And again, I've been very, very blessed to have some really amazing people be in my life. And I don't know if you get that same connection when you're at a combined program and you have all these other moving parts. I really like being um, you know fully invested and having my staff fully invested on each student athlete's success and growth. And so for me, I think that that's why this move for me and my family was such a easy one to say yes to. Um, because we're, like I said, we're close to home, and I think it's gonna be an amazing journey, and I'm excited to hopefully see you on deck at NCAA's again next year. But time will tell, and we're gonna keep learning and growing and building. So yeah, good
Yeah.
question. Good
Good
question.
answer. It warms my heart to know that not everyone is a competitive psychopath in sports, you know?
That's a really great way to say that. Like, I love what I do, every day, and I love the atmosphere that I get to create. Like, and have my student athletes babysit my kids so I can take my wife out on a date, or do things like that. Like, to me, the competitiveness is amazing, but also just building that family to me is also, even, I think, a bigger part of it. Because when I want student athletes to look back on their time, they're like, "Gosh, I wouldn't have changed that for the world." And even my process, I had a different coach where I swam at Indiana my first 2 years, and then Ray came in, and you know what? I wouldn't have changed my time for the world. I love my time there, and I've loved my time everywhere I've been. So, I think that says a lot about kind of my process and the way I look at this.
Hmm. Yeah, and again, that's heartwarming to hear that you're not only catering to others' expectations, but
No.
you're able to carve your own path and be at peace with that.
Yeah.
I like that piece of when I started, I was just looking to prove people wrong, but now I think many people go through that in different iterations, whether it's
Right.
swim coaching or any other form, journey in life. But you're
Right.
you're finding out your truth, and you're discovering what really makes sense to you. And
Yeah.
so congratulations on that. It sounds really great.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, Coleman, this has been a really good process. The administration, all of the support staff, like I said, has been great. Hearing from club coaches across the country. Again, the swimming web is very, very small and connected, and hearing from people on the East Coast, West Coast, and everywhere in between has been a lot of fun. And we're gonna do our best to find those student athletes that want a little different journey. But I'm excited to get back there soon after a little bit of downtime, with my family, and then just hit the ground running. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you mentioned you've enjoyed all your stops. I've talked about Indiana State and Washington State, but I'm just, curious. Since Washington State was your last stop, what
Mhm.
do you feel like you're carrying from your experience at Washington State into Iowa State, and just how have you learned and grown the past 6 years?
Oh my goodness. I think the arrival of two children into the world has changed my viewpoint immensely. And for anyone who says otherwise, it's crazy.
Mhm.
And so, what I take with me is that I know nowhere's perfect. Nowhere. It doesn't matter if you're, winning national champions or you're winning a conference. There's always going to be things that you want to improve on, that you want to try and nail and be perfect on. And for me, I bring, I try and carry everything with me of the things that, like I said, I've learned. And so for me, it's understanding that you got to trust the process. And that was one big thing, my dad taught me when I was looking at universities and colleges and where to swim. Cause in Oregon, there's no swimming, for men, and
Oh,
same,
yeah, that's
same
right.
in the Pacific Northwest. So you're going away no matter where it is. And so, he told me, God forbid you couldn't swim another day in your life. Where would you stay to get your education? And so I've carried that with me everywhere. Um, but the things I've learned at Washington State is that you can do things that others don't expect you to do. And you can fly under the radar and put your head down and do the work, because no one's going to be watching you while you're doing the work. You got to shine at the right time. And you know what, we were very, very lucky to shine at the right time, to get really good people into that program that wanted to work hard and be a part of that. And so I'm carrying with me little things like, Chloe Larson winning a Pac-12 title in the 50 free. It had never happened before, and beating
That's
other
that's
Pac.
a pretty big thing, I would
That
say.
was a lot of fun. Yeah, and beating another Pac-12 school that we had never beaten in our history. That was, national champions, a couple decades before. And so things like that, having people swimming, on the international stage. That was one thing that I wanted to do as a student athlete, and I missed out on two different qualifying meets by one spot. So I missed out representing Team USA. And so that's always been kind of I wouldn't say a bad chip on my shoulder, but more of a fire to help people get beyond where I was. And, swimming for Ray, I was lucky enough to be a 4-time All-American and a captain, and I love my time. And so my journey is to try and get people over that hump. And it's been a great journey, not only at LSU, and I started coaching, down there, and then going to Wyoming and meeting my wife and helping that program continue to grow and build. So everywhere I've been, it's been a really, really fun adventure. And I think that, to me, that's the biggest thing, not jumping into a top 10 program or top 20 program, but really building it, with the student athletes and having them look back and feel like they were a part of it, just like the way I felt, or the way I feel about, where I swam, which was a lot of fun. So, I'm super excited for the future, and I'm looking forward to that journey.
Yeah. I one just kind of left field question,
Yeah,
based on something you just brought up. For me personally, I swam through high school, and then I coached club after that for a decade plus. And but I learned more in my first 3 months of coaching club as an 18-year-old than I did my entire swimming career. Right, like it just clicked for me way more. And teaching
yeah,
was the best way that I could learn.
yep.
As ironic as that sounds. So I'm curious. You were an excellent athlete and swimmer, and you had all
I
American
was
team
okay.
captain.
I was okay. I mean, my teammates and my coaches made me way better than I should have been.
Fair
Period.
enough. But
Yeah.
so what do you feel like you've taken from your swimming career into coaching?
Well, a lot has changed. And
Mhm.
and I was, getting to Washington State. I don't want to say old school, but I was like, look, we train early in the morning. We're going to train in the afternoon, the evening, and that's what we're doing. You know, and so I think it was, right around COVID, a little bit after COVID. Um, we were kind of looking at, okay, how's our energy when you get to Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Mhm.
and it was low, and we had some people getting sick, and so we kind of reimagined, what does training look like at a higher level? Because, obviously when COVID came around, that was end of year two, beginning kind of going into year three. And we had been at NCAA's, and obviously we wanted to get back, every year. And so we started looking at changing the schedule. And we finally did, the staff and myself, and it worked out really well, doing a double on a Monday, double on a Friday, and then going a Tuesday afternoon for a little bit longer with the weights, with the lift, and a 2 hour swim, and then a Wednesday morning, so that we'd get not only Tuesday morning off to sleep in a little bit, but then you get Wednesday afternoon off until Thursday afternoon again. So you get a bigger chunk to kind of regroup, get your school in, get your studies done, and then really attack the weekend when you need to be swimming fast, right? So it was, that change for me really was harder than I think I led on to, but I learned a ton about the student athletes that way. Instead of saying this is how it's always been done, you kind of sometimes need to make big wholesale changes. And I think it we've proved it, having last year two freshmen qualify for NCAA's after never having freshmen ever qualify at Washington State, I think kind of proved that it was maybe the right move to be able to train at a higher level, but not get broken down as much. So, I mean, I think that, pulling in some of the great things I've learned, not only from Ray, but from every coach I've worked with, from, an Adam Schmidt, who is, a sprint person, we're raised kind of on the opposite end of that, and bring that in, but in the right time of the season, and not, not just do one thing for the entire time. It's to really work on, your cycles and your periodization, and making sure that you're pushing the student athletes the right way, and not just too much. And so, swimming at that high level and being able to bring in some of that at the right time, I think has been fun, but also learning and growing. There's things that I've learned from assistant coaches that I'm like, I really like that. I'm gonna take that and use that. So for me, it's finding what I think is going to work for each student athlete and for the way they move through the water. And it's been a lot of fun learning and growing. And trust me, I don't have all the answers. I don't pretend to have all the answers. But what I do want to try and accomplish is helping each student athlete get above and beyond, what I was lucky enough to achieve by communicating and saying, this is what I think is going to work. What's worked for you in the past, and how do we find a happy medium to get to where we want to go.
Mhm. Yeah. So this will be my last question.
Okay.
I'm curious. I've never been to Ames.
Yeah.
I've never been to
Okay.
Ames, Iowa. What's it like? Sell me on the college and on the town.
So you on the college in the town? Well, it's about 40 minutes from Des Moines, north,
Okay.
and
Des Moines
yeah.
surprised me. They had a pro swim
See,
in Des Moines, and I was like, "What are we doing here?" And I got
it,
there, and it's like, "This town's kind of cool."
right. So there's that easy travel in there.
Mhm.
It's easy to get if you want that bigger city feel. It's easy to travel down there. It's really not 40 minutes. It's a little bit less depending on how you drive. But no, Ames is again exactly what my wife and I love and look for. It's a college town of again about 66,000 people. The town just nothing but support for the student athletes, and for the community really supports football. The tailgating there is crazy. You can look online, and the vision that they've created, that Jamie, the athletic directors, created there, is absolutely wild. So they've got a great stadium and a great basketball arena, and there's three huge massive parking lots in between the two, and they want to make this little kind of city. They call it Sci Town, and they want to create a walkway with restaurants and different commercial establishments, and kind of create the two with an amphitheater, kind of at the end. And you can look online, it looks great. It's starting to develop, and so it's going to continue to grow. But getting back to your question about Ames, um, so the first night I was there, I was like, my wife looks up all the restaurants and the views and stars and whatnot. So there's this barbecue place, and I'm forgetting the name of it. So look it up. But so I go in, and they're like, "Oh, we just shut down. It's like 8:15."
Mhm.
It was my first day there after meeting the team, long day, and I walk in. I'm like, "Oh, it said 9 o'clock online." We're like, "Yeah, that's the bar part, but the restaurant's closed." And I'm like, "Dang it! Is there any way you could just throw something together, whatever's left, and just charge me?" I mean, again, this is my first day. I'm the new swimming and diving coach, and so the manager comes out with this big just bag, and she just hands it to me, and I go, "Okay, how much do I owe?" She's like, "Don't worry about it. Come back again a couple more times, and we'll call it even." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" So to have that kind of environment, and a really cool downtown that's really walkable, and they have a farmers market, and it
Wait,
just
what was in
resonates
the
with.
bag?
Oh my gosh, I mean everything. So we had chili. um there was a coleslaw. There
Mhm.
was this smoked apple bacon that was thick and amazing, and pulled pork. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was the best meal barbecue I've had in a long time. And it's good when barbecue, you kind of the next morning, you kind of burp up a little bit. You're like, "Oh, in a good way, not in a nasty way. But yeah, so just the people and being out there and meeting everybody was great. And just kind of looking around, it's a really fun town. It's growing immensely, and so it's a really, I think, going to be a great environment for myself, my wife, our family, and went to see a couple softball games, and it was nice watching that and kind of cheering everyone on. So the community shows up, and that's what I'm really excited to. And I invited a bunch of people out to the swim meets next year, and I said, look, free for you. You can sit wherever you want. I'll make sure you get the best seats in the house. So it'll be a lot of fun. But I think the town is going to be great for my family. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
You've been listening to the Swim Swam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take Swim Swam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.